Hello there, it's Dan Tatuli, and today I have back with me Brian Manderscheid. Thank you very much for coming today, Brian.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
So last time we left off, I was actually watching a few of those videos, much like the viewers at home, where Jordan and you went over basically the whole entire wealth report and talking about just some of what are the common risks that we all face during retirement and showing you just some of the strategies that you can take to really best position yourself for financial success. So you guys left off on this one slide, and I've got some questions about it where you were showing a cash accumulation where, and one example was the stock market. If you invested that money, that's where it would go. And the other one was within this maximum funded permanent life insurance contract. I get that it goes up with the stock market, but it actually stayed, it bottomed out or so as far as there was a floor of some sort, where when the stock market went down, the life insurance account didn't go down, it stayed. So it sounds a little bit too good to be true, Brian. So today I'd like you to talk about the unique crediting strategy.
Great, thanks, Dan. And that's a common first reaction when we show that chart and really introduce people to this maximum funded life insurance policies. It does sound too good to be true. But what I want to do today is kind of dispel those myths and talk about the product, which is a maximum funded indexed universal life policy, IUL for short.
Okay.
And really what I want to do is show you how the insurance company can offer you the upside potential in the stock market without the downside risk. So there are many different life insurance policies and different options to choose from, but I want to be very general today for our conversation discussion. And we're going to look at let's say a hypothetical company who has a S&P 500 annual point-to-point. So what that means is the insurance company is going to credit your policy based on the S&P 500 as the benchmark. Keep in mind, you're not actually directly invested in the S&P 500, but the insurance company is using that for a measuring stick to apply the gains in the policy.
Okay.
And what they're going to do is they're going to look at a starting point, generally the day you buy your policy, and 365 days in the future. They're going to take the change in the S&P price over that time frame, apply a cap or floor, and provide you with an index return. That's kind of a mouthful, so let's look at an example here.
Okay.
So let's say the day you buy your policy, the S&P 500 has a price of 1,000.
Okay.
And let's say that 365 days in the future, 1 year from now, the S&P price is at 1150. Again, you weren't directly invested in the stock market. There's a change in this case of 15%. Now I mentioned that with an IUL, you capture the upside in the market without the downside risk. Now there has to be a trade-off, and that's the what's too good to be true kind of thing, is you're not going to be able to capture 100% of the stock market returns. There's a minimizing factor on the index, and that's either a cap, a participation rate, or a spread that will reduce the returns that you're getting in the upside of the market. So let's say hypothetically in this example there's a 12% cap. So you wouldn't get 15. Your index return that would be credited to your IUL policy is your cap of 12%. Let's look at a different scenario. And let's say we have the same S&P starting point of 1,000. And the insurance company, again, measures the change in the index from one point to the next. And rather than 1150, let's say that's 800. In this example, the index was down 20%. The nice thing about this policy is when you have a situation like this where you have a negative 20% return or loss, you would get 0%.
And that's the floor that you mentioned? That's what it's called, the floor?
Yep, that would be the floor. And the nice thing about it is you have your upside, which is generally a cap or participation rate or spread or some minimizing factor, but you're always guaranteed a floor, usually 0%. Some companies have an elevated floor rate of up to 2%, but most times you're guaranteed 0% when the market goes down. to move on and show you an actual example, and this probably looks a little familiar.
Yeah, it does. I think Kevin and I were actually talking about this a few videos back. This is the one where we invested $100,000 into the stock market over 15 years, and this is kind of what it would look like. There are some ups and downs, obviously, with it.
So kind of to look at what the cap and floor would do, let's say we bought an index universal life policy over this time with a 0% floor and a 12% cap. Now what you can see, while your neighbors and everyone else lost money, we stayed level with our 0% contractual guarantee, or floor of 0%. Stock market rebounds and gets basically back up to $100,000 in an account value, and we capture majority of the market returns up to cap rates. Markets are cyclical, and we had another downturn, as we know, and the nice thing about our IUL policies is when everyone else lost upwards to 40% or more, we got our 0% floor.
Yeah, this graph is incredible, and as you could see over those 15 years, the IUL account, you have close to $250,000 you ended up with, while if you invested in the stock market, you're a little under $150,000.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is we got to a higher place, we gained more money in the end, and took less risk for doing so.
This is what I don't understand yet of how is there that floor? How do they guarantee that my money's not lost?
Great question. So what we're going to do next is kind of get into more in depth again, just kind of breaking down this product and pulling up the hood, letting you see how the engine works, and really how this insurance company is able to drive this product. And in this example, let's say you were to give the insurance company a $1,000 premium.
Okay.
What they're going to do, again, they're not going to invest any of it in the market. They're going to put, in this example, $950 into one account and $50 into another. What these accounts are, the bottom green account, is the insurance company's general portfolio. And the insurance company invests in mostly highly rated investment grade bonds. And in this case, we're going to say that they are able to earn 5%. What happens is, if we're earning roughly 5% on $950, at the end of the policy year, you can see that we're up to $1,000. What this represents is our 0% floor. Regardless of what the market does, you can see that our $950, majority of the money that we put into the insurance company, was safe. It was earning around a 5% return and getting us to whole at the end of the year. The $50, what happens is the insurance company, either in-house or offered through an investment bank, will buy options in an external benchmark like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, or one of a major either domestic or international index. And in this example, let's say that $50 based on current option pricing was able to buy a 12% cap. So in that example where the S&P was up 15%, we didn't capture all of our gains because we had a minimizing factor cap rate, and we earned, in this case, a 12% index return without the downside risk.
Got it. So this bottom graph right here, the green buckets, this is basically the portion that guarantees that I don't lose my money, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the top one, that determines more the cap rates? Is that?
That's absolutely correct. Now, the important thing is your $50 is not directly invested in the stock market. A lot of people think, well, this is a stock market product. No. Again, majority of your money is in safe investment-grade bonds. A portion goes to buy options in an external benchmark used as a measuring stick to calculate your annual returns. It's really important that when you're working with your advisor is make sure you're working with a qualified advisor who has access to multiple companies, the high-rated companies, the A's and betters, companies who have great renewal rate integrity, who place in-force policyholders above anything else, and advisors, independent advisors, again, rather than a captive advisor who's pigeonholed to one company and can only offer you one solution. What I want to do next is take the same chart we looked at before with the S&P 500 applying the cap and the floor. What I want to do is introduce a second index. Now, I mentioned that there are so many different index companies out there. The nice thing about our market is it's really booming, and there's a lot of increased competition in the marketplace, which really is driving innovation It's driving new product enhancements and really creating a better, more consumer-friendly product that ultimately provides you more and better benefits. So what you'll see here, Wealth Strategy 2 in green is a different product, and the key similarities is it still has our 0% floor, so when the market goes down, we're still getting zero,
Yep.
but you can see it's capturing more upside, and in the end, you wind up with more money.
This has been great information, Brian. Thank you very much for coming today and talking about this. And that wraps it up for this video. What we're going to do now is Kevin's going to come back on board and actually go into why the wealthy use IUL, this Index Universal Life Policy. So to really understand that, we have to go back to really the history of it all and see where it came from and what it's evolved to. So with that, thank you very much, Brian, for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you very much. If you're interested in moving ahead to the next video, just scroll down and get started today. Thank you.